So look, it's been a long time build up to this. Uh, we all know where our industry is. We won't keep going back and forth with that. I feel like where we're at right now with the economy, what's going on just from top to bottom in our world, I think it's time for the smaller guys, the guys that actually make it happen, for these $1 million companies to come together and figure out how do we reclaim our respect. Again, I say this not for the guys out here. This is not for the guys out here that's just got on the roof, did 10 jobs. They feel like, man, give me that gun, dude. I'm ready. All right. This is for the guys that's paid their dues. They've invested in themselves, which is to me the number one thing that you can do to make this $100,000 happen. So let's get right into it. I ain't gonna waste no time. What's on this board is pretty much what you basically need to make $100,000 as a installer on a sub crew. No responsibilities, no nothing. You don't have to go sell jobs. You don't have to worry about if it's collected. None of that. All you got to do is worry about yourself, making sure your work speaks for itself. That's it. So let's move right into this. Now, to get to this 100 grand, there's 5 key components that I've come up with myself, and that's being invested in yourself. 2, the volume. 3, attitude. 4, consistency. 5, save. I'm going to do 5-minute videos on this in the next couple of days for each one of these key components, and we can dive deeper into that. But right now, I just want to get straight to the numbers. I'm a numbers guy. Numbers don't lie. So basically, for my guys out here that's like, man, I've been going crew to crew, state to state. I just can't figure out how to get in the game and get respected for what I do and get paid for my value. And basically, what starts this whole process is being invested in yourself. So this number works mainly when this happens. And you have 3 levels to it, which is skills, tools, and you got to have a truck in this game. You know, a lot of guys that can jump out a nice car, a nice SUV, and that's great. I've actually used them in my career growing up. But the respect that you get and controlling the narrative, which we'll get into that later when it comes into how you get paid, that means a lot, because guys look at you and they respect you for what you have. Okay, so being as that is, to me, to get to this, I feel like you need to be on at least 200 roofs. So you guys that's 19, 20, been around, been on some jobs, think they got it all figured out, man, listen, the day you start reacting on that roof and not thinking about stuff, you got to figure it out. We ain't got to go no deeper than that. Tools, having your own gun, 100 feet of hose. You don't even got to have a big compressor, just a small pancake compressor. You really don't even need to have a real big ladder, because the crew that you work for probably going to have a big ladder for you to use on the bigger jobs. But that fold-up ladder shows that, look, man, he gets around. He does his own repairs. He does whatever. It opens the door for a lot of other things. Just the saw, your magnet, tear-off tools. Just not the tools to run a crew, but just for yourself. I cannot understand how that starts a conversation when you're looking for number 2, volume. So basically, don't get this part misconstrued, okay? You have to understand who you're going to for work. You have to understand your sub or the contractor's job flow is very important, because you can't make this happen if you're going to a small company that's only doing 4 roofs a month. You know, that's not a lot of work for you to be able to make this happen unless you're doing all the work yourself. And this plan is designed for you not to do that. This plan is designed for you to get up to the job, bust your tools out, do your part, lay your squares, and go home. This doesn't call for you having to stay till 9, 10 o'clock at night because the other crew didn't show up, or no, this is the respect level that your sub or contractor will give you if you do it this way. So understanding the job flow is basically not being all in their business, but say, hey, look, I need to do this type of work, these many squares a week for me to make the number that I need to get to. And if they can't respect that after you've already proven yourself, then this is not the company that you need to work for. Now, I always tell guys, if you can find that one company that has enough volume, it's great, because I see a lot of guys get caught up trying to work for 2 or 3 subs or contractors. And what happens is one bad day of weather and you're going to blow your shot, because that guy that had you on Monday, It rained on Monday. So you showed up Tuesday to do his job, but your guy on Tuesday wasn't feeling that. Look, I don't care if your first job on Monday, I need you here because my customer is expecting us to do this roof. Next thing you know, you done burn both bridges, and now you're out looking for work again. And I got a lot of guys that can vouch for me in this video that I've worked for over the years, that never being fired or never having to go crew to crew to crew. I'm just so blessed that my attitude and my humbleness and my skill set has allowed me to work with someone until it was the time for the next phase of my career. So that's very important. And I think once you understand the sub or the contractor and all their job flow, you kind of you need to know, well, how many skilled guys do you have on your crew? A lot of us know there's 6 to 8 guys on a solid crew, sometimes smaller if you got a lot of animals on the crew. And you can't go to a crew that has 4 guys that's trying to eat up 30 square every single day. You're not going to be able to get to this number doing that. So you kind of got to do your education. And the day and age of social media, I didn't have this 10, 15 years ago, but man, it's right at our fingertips. This is why I tell guys to stay positive. Got the windows going in the house today. It's a cool breeze. To stay positive on social media, because customers, contractors, they can go back and see, okay, is this guy a drug addict? Does he do this? Is he very drama-like? They don't want to deal with that. But it's so easy for you to do your homework and network and find out what companies in your market are doing enough work, roofs that can sustain you making this. And as we get deeper into this, you'll understand what I mean. So you want to pick a crew that has 1 or 2 solid guys that you want to come in the door and blow them out the water. Show up on time, don't complain, and you'll see that you'll go from number 3 roofer on the crew to easily number 1. And if the sub guy or contractor is smart, they're going to leave you there and leave you alone, because they're like, at the end of the day, this guy cares about his work. He shows up, he don't complain, he don't worry about the type of money I'm making. He just wants his check and he wants our customers happy. That attitude right there is how we get, well, we'll get down to that, but that attitude will get you to stay right here with that sub or contractor when they realize that you're making the money. And then we get to the dollars. So to get to the dollars, sometimes what I used to do in the past was I'd go to a crew and say, hey, look, man, let me just get up there. I'll roof every guy you got. I'll say something like that to entice him, and he'll be like, what? And he'll put me next to his best roofer, and I'll go up there and get to do my thing, And a lot of times when you don't have to ask for a gun, when you don't have to ask for air, a hose, just any, you're like, look, man, just let me plug into your air, and if not, where's electricity at? That right there will get yourself in the door. So many times, this is why I had to start with being invested in yourself, because no one's going to take you serious if you're not invested already. So having an understanding on what am I getting paid per square, that's probably the biggest mistake a lot of roofers make when they get hired on. They allow the sub or contractor to kind of go weeks and without having a full understanding. They might be paying them by the hour, which I don't think any sub crew or any contractor in our industry should be paying any installer by the hour. Okay, you get paid by the job. That's where the money's at. Now I know a lot of you guys are gonna be like, well, man, he give me 40 hours a week, giving me $18 an hour, $20 an hour. That's $800 a week. That's good, dude. I can show you how to make that in 2 days. You take the rest of the 5 days a week and do whatever you want to do. You gotta look at it like that. Get away from the hourly. You will never make the money you want to make in roofing, getting paid by the hour. So having an understanding with your money per square is very, very vital. And we'll get into that once we get on the other side of the board. Another important key component is your attitude. All right. I got a couple guys that's probably watching this video that work for that can contest to what I'm about to tell you, that will allow, even if your skill is not all the way up there, but having that dope attitude, the guy that everyone wants to work with, the guy that just doesn't complain, will get you in the door and get you the numbers. And again, you'll get here a lot sooner. So being on time is one of the most things. Like, when you get hired, show up to the job site 15 minutes early. Get a chance to talk to your subcontractor or your contractor before you take that first step on your first day. All right. Leave all your problems at home. Nobody care about what you and your girl going through, what you might have went to the joint for, what you did last night, what type of strippers you dealing with. Like, nobody cares about that. And if you understand where getting ready to go with this, again, this number will happen a lot faster, and you won't have to get to year 4 or 5 before you're like, damn, Reem, that this strategy actually works. The reason is seeing, because if you end up being that guy that's the talker, or the guy that's, hey man, let's talk about a whole thing that happened last night. Now you done burnt a whole half a hour of the day. Now you're at the end of the day and you're having to stay until 6, 7, 8, and try to get you a wife, try to get you a woman. They ain't gonna put up with that day in and day out. Okay, so just leave your problems at home. Leave your conversation for after work or before work. Don't worry about what anyone else makes or what they're doing. My whole career, I never argued with a guy I worked for about what this other guy made or what I didn't really care, because my whole attitude was, I'm going to be the best guy on the crew and he's going to pay me more than any guy. So at the end of the day, what he makes does not mean anything to me. What were they doing on break? I don't care, because I never smoked cigarettes. So them guys will smoke a whole pack, during one working day. I mean, you got 20 cigarettes, 2-3 minutes a cigarette. I mean, you got a whole extra hour that you get to make money while they're down there playing around. And when your boss sees that, he appreciates that. And again, you go from roofer 3 on the crew to roofer number 1. And just be that guy. Like, be that guy. Like, at the end of the day, one guy might have been VS and he sent him home, fired him. You'll see a lot of turnover as you grow to be number 1 on the crew. And you'll get those questions at the end of the day, like, yo, Reem, can you stick around a couple hours? I want to start this next roof tomorrow, man. He's BSing. Can you go over there and slap on 3 square? Don't get an attitude. That 3 square is an extra $75 for you. You can go knock out in an hour. Yeah, I'll do it. Now, don't let that be a consistent problem, but just be that guy. Care about your work. I hear guys go back and forth. Don't pop your lines. I tell guys all the time, train your guys to pop lines. So when you're not there, I don't care if it's 30, 40 feet, no roofer in America is going to make every single roof, every single shingle perfectly straight like it can be if it was on a line. The line is perfect. Train your guys to do that. Care about your work. All right, take your time. When you get into flashing, you get into them 100-degree days, like, you get frustrated. That's where a lot of mistakes happen. Step back, take a break. Come back to that part during, either learn how to do those parts of the roof in the earlier part of the days when it's cooler, or towards the end of the day when it's cooler. But heat, rain, wind, we all know it frustrates us. Don't let that have an effect on your quality of work. Consistency. Again, being that guy that gets paid on Friday and shows up on Saturday, I can't tell you how much more work that's gotten me, how much more respect that's gotten me, and how much I didn't have to worry about this side of the board when I did that. Record your stats. I've been doing this. I've been on over 4,200 roofs in my career. Every year, I got a list of how many roofs I was on that year. And I've just been keeping a running tab, and it's been fun to me. I've taken it serious, and even back then, when I realized that roofing was what I wanted to do, I'm like, it was just fun to me, to keep track of the jobs and the guys I work for. And then as the weeks turn into months turn into years, like, man, I didn't get fired. I didn't have to do a lot of hiring processes, because I stuck with the guy that I was with until the next phase of my career. And I did it with loyalty. I never stole from nobody, never went behind any contractor's back. He never just woke up and was like, where's Kareem? I'm like, I'm on another job, fuck you guy. Never did anyone like that. And don't do your contractor like that. At least be a man about it. If you're getting treated a certain way you don't like, communicate. Don't let it build up. Keep track of all your squares and your hours. That's one thing I think a lot of guys that get into crews and they trust the guy that's running it, it's like, well, I trust him to keep the hours. He got it. He's maintained. I don't want to stress. Man, if you can't keep a little notepad, or we all got phone and devices now, if you can't open up your phone and text it to yourself, I did 18 square today, 3 hours, boom, Monday, what the address was, then you really ain't trying to get to this $100,000. All right. Number 5 of the key components is save. I tell guys, even when you're just a grunt, a labor, installer on a sub crew, that you should definitely go open up an LLC either in your name or create your own business name, just being a laborer on a crew. Get the bank statement, get your deposits in your business account, develop credit. You don't have to be an owner of a sub crew or a company to get lines of credit. You don't have to be. And I think the number one thing is, that I've dealt with in the beginning, and that where I failed at was keeping track of all that and then dealing with taxes. Get you a great accountant, someone that you trust, and that's probably not related to you or a friend, because that accountant is going to keep it real with you when it comes to the time of year filing your taxes. Trust me. All right. So with having these key components, understanding what it takes to stay on the crew, to get the respect, to get to this number, it's this simple. It's this simple. So y'all can see this. 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, 40 weeks in a season will get you this. Well, how is that? All right, so a lot of times, a lot of crews don't, they just want their shinglers or the roofers just to roof. Again, finding the right crew, understanding the job flow and how many skilled guys, you'll learn, okay, how do I make the money that I need to make? And a lot of times, you're going to have to show, because no one wants a guy to show up on the job site at 10 o'clock once the guys tear off and you start roofing. Some guys let it go down like that. In most cases, it don't. So you're going to have to, as a roofer, you're going to have to be a great laborer as well, which means the best roofers get there early in the morning. They tear off the first section, whether it's 10, 15 square, and they start roofing for the rest of the day, and that's it. So let's say you do that 3 hours a day. You got your own tear off. You know how to prep. You're a monster on that. There should be no problem to do 3 hours a day, tearing off, 15 hours a week. If you're an animal and you know your stuff and you're skilled, you got your tools, your truck, you're invested, you shouldn't have no problem getting $25 an hour. We'll get into why I think that's not a problem here in a second. So that's $375 a week. Times that by 40 weeks in a season, because a lot of places, down south, you got 52-week seasons. They're roofing all year long. But the average, I would say, would be 40 weeks, give or take 3 months in the wintertime. Springtime when it's raining a lot, we're not on the roof. So on the average, I would say 40 weeks in a season. So that'll give you 15 grand just getting 15 hours a week, 25 an hour, whatever. This is the meat and potatoes right here. 3.16 shingles per minute, 2.83 squares per hour. If you do that for 6 hours a day, get you 17 square a day. Do that 5 days a week. That's 85 squares a week. You're getting $25 a square. That's $2,125. Times that by 40 weeks, 85,000. Add your 15 grand from here. There's your 100 grand, and that's without repairs or side jobs. Now, I'm going to tell you why these red numbers should be easy. And I've been telling people this for a long time. And this is why I need the smaller guys to start getting confident about making this, because then we can change the narrative and change the bleeding of our industry. Because a lot of these big companies get all these millions of dollars from these insurance companies and these claims, and they pay their salesmen top dollars, and they send them on vacations, and they send them to these conventions, and they do all these great things for these salesmen. And a lot of these big companies can't even tell you who's on the crews making their money for them. They know the crew leader of the sub, the sub, but they don't know the guys that actually work. And a lot of times the subs don't want that to happen, because the bigger guys will steal workers. It's happened to me. I'm sure a lot of you guys got a lot of horror stories about that. But the day we can change this and get more guys on the bottom end making this, and we get our respect back from the bigger guys, I think any sub crew honestly should be making $75. So if the guy that's running the sub crew is making $75 a square, he's paying his guys 20. He got 25 going off on put on and 25 on tear off. He's making $25 a square. If he's doing 5 roofs a week, that's 150 square times 25. I mean, we all know what that is. That's a lot of money. I believe that's 25, almost 3,200, over 3,200 bucks. That's just running the crew. And a lot of those guys that run the crew, they're going to be on the job making some of this money themselves. So there should be plenty of money for our young roofers to feel the respect level as doctors and lawyers, because that's what they make. We up there risking our life. And I see all these guys going back and forth about these lead generated companies, their beef with contractors, and then you got guys that's trying to just teach sales, and like, for whatever reason, we've all forgotten that production is what bleeds, what makes this industry pump blood and bleed. So it's like we're bleeding because we don't have our production. We get people mad because illegals out here getting a lot of money, but we don't have enough Americans that know the trade, because we don't have it in high school anymore. That's why I try to start a high school. I try to do training. I tried to give back, because I understood 10 years ago where our industry was heading, and it's heading down. You know, the more videos I see with sales and be the best salesman, this is how you build a company from $1 million to 20, 30 million. I'm just like, those are the guys that don't know all the guys on the crew. Those are the owners that have not shooken every customer hand. The personalization is gone. So, in a nutshell, we'll get into all these key components. I'm going to do a 5-minute video of each one, just kind of giving some stories about what it took for me to even think that this is the level for you to get. And this is my approach. If there's guys out here that think there's something that needs to be added, great, add it. But let's just break it down to the numbers. When you see guys, I'll do 6 square an hour. There is no roofer in America that's doing 6 square an hour, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. Nobody. So when you hear talk like that, don't even get involved in that, okay? Just stick to this number. 3 shingles per minute. That's a shingle every 20 seconds. So if you ain't pulling a shingle every 20 seconds, this might not be attainable for you. These are for the guys that's motivated. That's like, look, man, I don't really want to own my own company. I don't want all the stress. I just want to make $100,000 a year and be respected by my peers. This is how you do it. Can't wait to get into this. I can't wait to get into some of my subcontractor videos on why I think subs should be making what they're making. We're going to break down as far as, you know, jobs that's being sold for $300 a square, $400 a square, $500 a square, and why are the subs only getting $50 to $70, $75 a square. In a lot of cases, they have to beg for it. I've roofed in 12 states across America. I think North Carolina was the cheapest I've ever roofed for. I went down there and roofed for $40 a square, and that was tear off and put on for a base 1-story walker. So there's companies out in America that are abused, and that was a company that sold 300 roofs a year, you know. And you do the numbers on, you know, back then I didn't even know what supplements was. I just, you know, he got me to start selling, and I'm like, man, this is okay, babe. And I get my little 10% for selling the job, not knowing that he was supplementing and getting an extra, who knows, thousands upon thousands of dollars that I missed out on, probably the 40 or 50 jobs that I sold for him. So, and we'll get into all that. We'll get into all the things that the bigger guys won't tell you, okay? Just be patient and take this advice with a grain of salt. Again, this won't work for everybody. If you're not motivated, okay, if you're not ready to get seasoned in the season, because this is not going to happen for you guys that's been on 10 roofs. And you made $1,000 in 1 week and you're like, oh man, let me go get my gun. Don't buy your gun too early. Appreciate being a laborer, because you'll never be a good roofer until you can appreciate that labor. How can you even be a good roofer if you don't even know how to tell the guy below you what to do? Or don't fast forward your process. Take your time. All right? It'll be easy.